to the show, everybody. Episode 4, Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast.
Yes.
Today, y'all, we have to address something very important. So for that, we brought in a special guest. We have somebody who's an author, cancer survivor, an educator, entrepreneur, and most importantly, she watches our son every day from 8 to 6. And if I'm picking her up, it's probably about 6:10, give or take. And she
More
doesn't
like
always
6:30.
She doesn't always charge us. Thank you. Miss Elizabeth Rivera, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Elizabeth Rivera. Thank you for making yourself available to be on our little podcast, slowly picking up steam. So no pressure. As you know, we like to start every show with what you on. So what you been on this week or what you been on lately that you like to get off your chest or talk about?
Well, this week I've been watching The Last OG. Have you seen that?
Oh my goodness, Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan.
I haven't seen him in a while, and for him to come out and it's a banging show. It hits home in some areas, and it's just hilarious.
I think it's dope. They, the cast they got Tracy Morgan, back from that horrific Walmart truck accident. You got Tiffany Haddish, who's on fire right now. So glad, she's back on TV after the Carmichael show. Malik Yoba, we know they killed that brother in season 1 of Empire. So thank you for giving him more work. He's a very talented brother.
Yes.
And it's hard for black men to find steady work on TV. So I'm very happy about that.
I like it too. It shines a light on what an ex-con really goes through, like how he's trying to find a job, how he's trying to bounce back. So hopefully maybe it could give people more empathy for ex-cons and felons. And it might change some things, hopefully.
Yeah, and how he comes back and reality hits him on the face, and for him, his whole world has changed, from the place he lived in to his wife or mother of his children has moved on, and he's stuck, So that's a really good show.
And those D'Angelo braids. We can't forget them D'Angelo braids.
That also changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. Joy, what you been on?
Oh, well, mine is kind of split. I'm going to start with a positive and then a negative. First of all, my positive is a show that I've been on and binge watched. It was the show 7 Seconds on Netflix. It was totally awesome. It was also a very real show. And I just like all the perspectives, how it deals with the police shootings and violence and all of that, and how the police aren't getting convicted. It kind of helps explain why. It's a really good show. Regina King is in there. It's awesome. And then my negative is Atlanta, Teddy Perkins episode. First of all, Joy did not sign up for that episode. Second of all, why was that so creepy? Third of all, I thought that show was a comedy. So if you look at the description of the Teddy Perkins episode, all it says is Darius trips. So you have no idea that you're about to go into the shit show of Michael Jackson tribute that's a horror and just be really, well, sorry, spoiler, but be really, really weirded out. And I just didn't, I mean, everybody online is oh, it's groundbreaking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it's people... Me and Coley, we finally just put Chance to bed. All we want to do is turn on the TV and laugh. We don't want to not be able to sleep that night. We didn't sign up for it. And I just don't want him to go down a weird path that he can't recover from. So I'm uncertain of where the show is going. Is it a plot?
Premise of this season is Robin season. So, without giving too much away, apparently Teddy Perkins has been robbing people of something, or he's been robbed of something. So I get trying to tie it in, but it's a little too cerebral in my opinion. But might have been an idea that he's had in his head for years, and now that he has his own show and his own power and his own money or backing to do it, fuck it, just do it, get it out there. So. But that said, we definitely didn't talk about it right afterwards, and we definitely didn't go to bed right away. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I just hope, I think there's more episodes. I just, it's I don't want to turn on the TV and be what am I going to expect? I kind of want some idea. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. Simply put, for me, what I've been on is this weather. What's today's day? April the 17th. And we all have on hoodies, and we still got down coats and and all that stuff. Global warming is real. Like, I haven't seen a leaf in 6 months, and I'm just petrified by that. There's no buds, anything. There's nothing whatsoever. But for whatever reason, that little patch of grass back by our house is still wet. So I don't get that, but it is what it is. So it's crazy. So
yeah, the weather, that's scary.
So, guys, we got an important topic that we need to get to today. Very, very important. I think this probably will be the most important thing that we've talked about for a lot of our listeners. And those of you that are new, check out our previous episodes on our YouTube page and subscribe. But today, guys, we got to tackle something important. We're going to tackle the top 10 reasons you're single.
Okay, now before we tackle this, and there's probably more reasons, but Elizabeth, she's gonna tell us her bio, so she could kind of give you an idea of why we selected her for this show.
Oh wow, okay. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. So first of all, I wanted to address that I'm not originally from Chicago. I am from the suburbs, Waukegan. And I came to Chicago at an early age in my 20s. And so I've been here so long that Chicago is my home. Yeah, so a lot of people think I am from Chicago.
But now that you say Waukegan, it does make sense.
Why?
Whatever. I'm from Milwaukee.
I've had many lives. They say cat has 9 lives. Mm-hmm. I have many lives. I've worked in corporate America for many years. I've been a flight attendant, an educator. Yes. And so in many capacities as an educator, taught adults, middle school. And my favorite is the little people. And I have that logo. It's little people with big minds. That's what I do. I teach little people with big minds. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm an author. The biggest thing is that I've been married 4 times.
You forgot that you're a mother.
Oh, yeah, I'm a mother of twins, and they're grown right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, you've been married 4 times?
Yes, it seems like I've been married almost all my life.
But just not to the same person.
Right. I've had 4 different lives, okay? 4 different marriages, 4 different men. I mean, literally different lives. You know how they say people have a pattern? Mm-hmm. You marry one and you divorce and you marry kind of a similar person? Not I.
I think that's cool. And I think the important part, about this isn't meant to be a talking to or stern talking to or even coming from a high moral ground type show. This is really, Joy and I, we got married, I think, how were we, 30? We were 30 when we got married.
Yes.
And so I think for us, there was 30 years of just being single. And I think there was just things there was no self-awareness there on some of the things. And I think, being on this other side of it, there's things that you obviously miss being single, but definitely a lot more things that you love being married and being with somebody. And I think for us, just being able to dive into it and talk about that and having someone with your life experience, we think is going to be valuable for our listeners and our viewers. So can't wait to dive into this. So,
well, I think it's also cool why you're a good person is because you've been married 4 times, but you bringing people to you and they love you so much that they're proposing to you.
They putting a ring on it.
And it's people out here who have nobody approaching them at all. So I think that you have a good perspective too, because you know how to not be single at the same time. Like if you want to be single, you could, but if you don't, you don't. And some people are like, I'm single for life. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's an interesting point of view you have.
Yeah, I think that for me, it wasn't a negative thing. I always felt that there's something better that could come along, once something, I didn't feel like it failed my marriage. I felt like I've learned something and I'm going to move on and it be better.
Correct. God puts you where he wants you, when he wants you there. And I think, those all served a purpose in your life. And quite frankly, those same life lessons you're passing on to the children that you touch. And, I guarantee you, Joy and I are going to be schooled on some stuff today that we didn't even know. And we know all you listening will too as well. So with that, let's get to the list.
The list. Dun, dun, dun.
So these are in no particular order. And these are, again, our life observations. So number one, top 10 reasons you're single. Number 1, you've stuck it out with the wrong person and you give up on the right one.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just say my perspective on this one. I just think that in some situations, you have people who are in these, like, you see the red flags, you know it's not going to work out, and then you, like, just stay with them. Or, like, you put 8 years in. So you're like, well, I've been with this person for 8 years. I don't feel like starting over. I know that's something I used to say is like, I don't feel like starting over. So you just, like, stick it out, but then you're kind of, like, consumed by this person who's not really for you, and you're missing out on people that could be a good catch because you're kind of, like, blindsided, or you got the rose colored glasses. I know for, like, a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of my friends, but I just know people who, like, it'll be a cool dude, but they'll just be like, well, he looks like he doesn't have any money. And they'll just, like, write him off. But he could be the right person for you, but you'll be with this dude who's, like, cheating on you or, like, won't commit to you. So it's like people are scared to be alone, so they just, like, don't get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, like, my perspective is that we try to fix things.
Oh, yeah.
We're always trying to fix somebody.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Well, just for instance, like Joy was saying, you know, he might cheat on you. And you're like, oh, well, let's look at his past. You know, maybe, you know, he has some issues, baggage from family growing up or something. So maybe, you know, I'll give him a chance and maybe we can go to therapy or maybe let's excuse it because it was the first time and he won't do it again. And then he keeps doing it again. And you're like, oh, maybe it's me, you know? Yeah. And so we don't really help each other by just continuing the nonsense, you know?
I think that's deep because I think a lot of times, you know, when we get to the other things on our list, I think, yeah, you know, people want to fix things. And I think people, they don't want to start over. But I think people just aren't real with themselves and just like truly evaluating like their current situation and putting themselves in the other person's shoes. Like, you know, am I being good to this person? Are they, you know, worthy? Are they wasting their time in this relationship? Because I think a lot of times we're not willing to like let people go either. Like, yo, you're free. Let me set you free because I'm not the one for you, but I know you're going to stick around. And I think people do that a lot. So I think that's I think that's like one of the big things out there that people aren't doing, just being respectful of the other person.
And I can like kind of give like a real life example from my life. That's why I kind of picked this one, because before I met Coley, I was engaged before this.
Let's talk more about that.
But it's true. I met Coley in college, so I knew dude, but whatever. But I was engaged to somebody entirely different, and I like was trying to stick it out. You know, he went to church all the time. I was like in the choir hardcore, so he was like that perfect church dude and all this, and I was just with him, and then he proposed to me in like 3 months, and then had a wedding plan like 6 months later. And I could like literally every day sometimes I think like, wow, I could be married to somebody else. But I got out of it because it was signs that he wasn't the one for me. And he had like other issues too that were just like, oh, this isn't going to work out. He lied a lot. He had like weird sexual relationships with more than just one sex, not female, but also male. So then that was kind of like a thing that he kept a secret. And it was just like a lot going on. But I was like, oh, God will fix him. You know, like I'm going to pray. God's going to fix him. We'll be that church up front, that couple up front giving the testimony. Like, oh, God saved him. He used to like do all kind of stuff. He was like really random. But I like got out of that relationship, and literally like I got out in November. And then like I started back talking to Coley in March. But I always think like I could have just literally been married with probably like 6 kids, because, you know, with the church, you're going to pop them out and not be with Coley right now. So I just, if it's anybody out there, you know deep down it's not the one, there could be somebody else out there. So just keep it moving. It's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You guys have any experience of like when you gave up on the right one? You know, we said we stick it out with the wrong one, but is there any time you gave up on the right one? Joy?
I believe that Coley would like me to say him, but I will not.
Because I'm black.
Yes. Me and Coley dated in college for 3 months, and when I broke up with him, I was certain and I had no regrets.
That's deep. That's deep.
Is.
And now that we're together, he's much different from college.
Oh, that's nice.
He changed.
Yeah, I'm more patient. I got to be dealing with you.
Number 2 on the list, you want to be the boss and the employee.
Yeah. So with this one, well, what we figured out, a lot of people, especially, in my opinion, the longer, I can say it's me, the longer that I was single, I wanted to be treated a certain way, but I also wanted to tell the person how to treat me in that certain way. So it's almost like you want to do everything the way you want it done, when you want it done, how you want it done, but then you want somebody else to do it. So it's like you have somebody that works for you, but you're also like the boss. So you want to do it all basically yourself on your terms. And I think it's one of the things, when Joy speaks, we dated in college. That's I can say that's really what I was on, right? I had in my mind, like, I'm Coley. This is what I deserve. This is how whoever's with me is going to be. And this is how it's going to be. And you know what? She'll be better once she kind of understands my ways for it. And clearly I was wrong at that time. But, I was 22, going on 17. So it's one of those things that you learn. Like, I really had, a very high opinion of myself, and my way was not only the right way, but it was the only way that things should be done. And then she should understand and know and just do those. And that clearly didn't work out for me. But I think it kind of, it was life. It punched me in the face, and got to learn with a lot of other chicks that there are other ways of doing things. There are better ways, and, coming together and making a relationship work.
Yeah, you have to be flexible. You have to be really flexible, and you have to give that other person an opportunity to do the things that they want to do for you. And you might not know that those are the right things for you until they happen, but you have to open up. And I think that you learn with maturity, Absolutely. So it's a lesson learned all the time through many relationships. So, it's hard. It really is, because you do have this sense that you have to have a self-worth of yourself, of course, and say, I deserve this, but it comes in different forms. It doesn't have to be exactly how you want it.
Exactly. But it's tough. Sometimes you might have to take a major L in order to, get that lesson, and hope that you have, Joy and I, the ultimate redemption story. So it worked out for both of us in the end, but not everybody has that chance and have that opportunity.
But also, too, it's like the way you're saying it is true, because it's like you have to look like it might be a certain way that you think things should be done, but you're not looking for, oh, well, technically they are doing this for me, but it's like in a different way. And if you try to like look at it that way, you might be more positive. Like, you might want their house to be clean or something like that, but it might not be clean when you're not there, but every time you come, they're like cleaning up, trying to get it clean. But all you're focusing on is that they're not a clean person, but they're trying for you. So it's almost like, is the person trying, or are they just like, don't care what you want?
I think it gets even deeper when they're not only trying, but they're not trying the way you want them to try. And I think that's what, for me, this point is, it's like, you want, as we know, living together, I want the dishes done a certain way. You do them a certain way. I do them a certain way. But, when you have expectations in your heart on somebody, and you want to be the boss and the employee, you want people to do it your way, when you want it, how you want it. And I think that gets lost in relationship. Like, there's multiple right ways. And I think if you can have that conversation, and, give your rationale as to why you want something done a certain way, or you would like to, manage your money a certain way, or you feel a certain way about the cards for the household or anything like that, I think compromise and understanding needs to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So number 3, and I think this is an important one for y'all. You're looking in the wrong places.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth, please tell us
where to look.
Where were you looking for 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Okay, so the first one, I was really young. So I met him in high school, and my parents, it was I want to say it was a little bit more of a culture thing. My parents wanted me to get married, and they weren't really, they weren't educated. Not that that's not bad, but they just didn't see me going to college. So they felt like, I want you to be married, you're secure, somebody's taking care of you, providing for you, and so forth. And so I met him in high school. They knew his parents, and that's how that grew. But we were from different worlds. His parents were from a different religion than mine, and it was a whole lot of other elements involved. The second one was a blind date. So that one took me off guard. And literally, it was a friend of mine. He asked me if I wanted to meet his friend, and I'm like, oh, sure. His friend came in, and he met me, and he liked me right away, and he went back outside, and he came back with a bouquet of flowers. I'm like, what is this? He goes, well, I want to make sure you were pretty. And I'm like, wow, okay. So, and we hit it off, and we were married. And the third one, I met him at a party, and I was there on a date, and he was very persistent, and we just kind of hit it off, and before you knew it, I went to, he was a promoter for parties. I went to one of his parties. He had invited myself and my date, but my date got sick. And so I went to the party. We had a great time, and we were together. He's the father of my children. Okay, so we were together for a long time. Again, the fourth one I met out as well. So I guess I don't have, that place is not a good place. I think I need to go to the grocery store or something, or maybe the laundromat, I don't know. But evidently, going out at clubs or a bar or whatever is not the place to find, but that was my, I guess that was my wrong place.
I feel like anybody that I met in the club, I was always hopeful because you buy a drink for a young lady and that buys you anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes to try to pretty much prove yourself worthy. And like, you know what? She's really feeling me. So you're thinking it's going to go somewhere because in my mind, through all the music, through all the drinking, through all the smoke, the dancing, the sweat, somehow or another, we made that much of a connection. We want to go to that next stage. And that was my actual thinking. Like if you can connect at the club, you can connect anywhere. Little did I know, once you actually start talking to people and trying to figure out their interests, what they like, what they don't like, it becomes tough because you find out what they like, what their interests are, and who they are. I remember one young lady, we met, we both were in a similar field, and we're on the first date. And we went to Grand Lux Cafe, so I was ready to spend some money.
Ooh, one of my favorite places.
I was ready to spend some money. And she told me she was just destined to be famous or to be something more than what she is, which is dope. But she had no discernible way of getting there. And this was before social media there was Facebook. That was it. So, since then she's gone on. I don't know what she's doing now. I know she has a lot of Instagram followers. But it was just this weird thing. Like, I'm like, so you're not interested in being a family, interested in having any moral grounding, or interested in like really connecting with the man right now. Like you think you should just be famous, but you can't sing. You're not a good writer. You don't have any discernible talent that equates to being famous, but you just think that you should be. So the entitlement thing that just came with that, like meeting somebody at the club, just the entitlement I felt that came with the young ladies I met at the club was just out of this world. After you buy that little $12 drink, then the entitlement that came with it was just too much.
Were you dating a reality star?
No, but effectively that's what she wanted to be. Before there was this was before Love and Hip Hop was even a thing. So I mean, this is taking it back a bit, but yeah, that's effectively what she wanted to be, and I'm not sure if she got on, but that's definitely what she wanted to be. So yeah, the club ain't the place. It's just people. You go to the club either like release or to be seen. Like, I don't think people are legit going there to like start a serious relationship because you go into the club, you're in a club mindset. Like, I don't think you're legit looking to settle down if you're at the club. It's just like an oxymoron. It's like you're not looking to be safe if you're driving in a race car. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not, it's an oxymoron. So
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know about the club being a wrong place. I just think like I agree that it's risky. It's a risky place to meet somebody, but like if you're at the wrong, I think of the wrong place is like you're going to the same place over and over and over, and then you expect to meet somebody and you won't go anywhere else because you're afraid that if you go somewhere else, like you won't have a good time or the DJ won't be good or it'll be too much. So you just go where it's safe, but you never really meet anybody different. So it's like you refuse to go to try another place, which could be the right place. You just keep going to the same place, the same events, the same people. Because let's say, for instance, you open yourself up and you go to like a young black professional conference in Louisiana. Like there's going to be people at the club there, but you could really meet your husband because he's there for the conference, but he's just out. So, but it's like but you're like, oh, I can't go to a conference. Oh, I can't go to another state. Oh, this, oh, that, because it's not safe or you're scared. So it's just about like trying new places instead of it being like try new places. If you keep going to the same place and it's like your 10th time or you only go to the same music, same place, it's like you got to try new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or they feel comfortable.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perfect segue to reason number 4. You only want to live within your comfort zone. You're not going to put yourself out there. Like people only want to live in what they know. They're afraid to take a chance, whether it's they don't want to waste an outfit or the bartender. So you have like it's familiar. So you at least feel like you're in a safe place. Whereas if you go someplace where there's strangers or you've never been or you're going to be the new person, people have a hard time making that adjustment.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you see people that come into a club that like they're comfortable and they feel like they're the hero. They walk in and hey, they know everybody. They got, the deal, like you said, they got the deals at the bar. They got the favorite DJ. They're feeling good, So, to me, it's kind of weird because when the new person comes in, because everybody's just like preying on them, like, okay, because all the oldies are there that go there all the time, and they're like, we haven't seen that person before, so let's, they're ready to run to the new person, So yeah, there are a lot of places like this in Chicago, especially that are comfort zones. You go in there, you can literally go and not go for months and then go and you see the same people there.
Yeah.
Years.
Yes.
In Chicago, I follow promoters more or less when I go to parties because it's not really about the venue because venues shut down and they'll become something new and they won't cater to minorities or it gets too hood or it's not you. So I follow more the promoters, but the same people follow the same promoter. They get the same pluggers, they get the same emails. So inevitably, you're going to have to push yourself to find new places to go to do things and more like new experiences. Because again, it's not about clubs or lounges. It's about, just doing stuff you would never do, whether it's, going to a music fest, whether it's going to a concert, whether it's going to like an event your coworker might invite you to, but you would never go to. And you might be uncomfortable because you might be the only black person or you might be the only white person there. But, you end up normally having a good time because if that coworker felt enough to invite you, they're probably going to set it out. So you do have a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Reason number 5. So you take more than you're willing to give out.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for me, how I would explain this is when I was single, I used to have this rule that when I went out and if nobody talked to me, I would be like, oh, that's wasted cuteness. I just wasted my cuteness going out and nobody talked to me and I didn't have a good time. And I just think sometimes people, when you're doing this, it's like you're willing to take more than you give. It's like you have a negative outlook. You're not looking for the positives. Maybe the music was good. Maybe the drinks were good. But all you're focusing on is that nobody talked to you or a busted dude talked to you. Or 2, another thing is like you have this super long list which I did have. I had it was like 15 items. I don't know how long, but it was like super long. Like, he has to do this. He has to do this. And I like wrote it out, and I was like, my husband. And then one day somebody was like, well, do you meet every criteria on your own list?
Absolutely not.
Excuse me, you don't know my list. Thank you. But anyways, actually, I did not. So if you got this super long list, but you don't meet the list yourself, like for instance, it was like, oh, I want a man with great credit, and it's like you have shitty credit. It's like, dude,
but you got
don't.
it. You got.
And I'm not saying that I have bad credit. Disclaimer. But all I'm saying is that, like, it's like, dude, you gotta meet it. If you saying I want him to be healthy and fit, and you're not, it's like, well, you're not gonna. If you're not healthy and fit, why would you attract a healthy and fit dude that's into that lifestyle? It like doesn't make sense. So if you got a list, make sure that you meet it so that y'all can like kind of give equally to each other, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of times it's again being honest with yourself and what are you doing. If I'm like, man, I want a girl that looks like Rihanna, while I'm sitting here on my couch watching a Rihanna video, eating a box of Little Debbie Swiss rolls, knowing I'm going to wake up in the morning and eat the box of oatmeal pies because I didn't have a taste for oatmeal. Like, oatmeal cream pies that night. Like,
almost cream pies are good.
They are. But I'm not going to get Rihanna sitting there eating that when she's dating dudes that are either billionaires or like famous that can dance and shit that I'm a phenomenal dancer, but I can't do flips and all that shit. So, I mean, I think it's just like the tangible and intangible things that you have to bring to the table.
Yeah. That's what I love about salsa dancing. And I'll tell you why.
It's a good segue.
You go salsa dancing and you dance with everybody. Old, new, that we have the same steps. And you just go home. You don't have to take that person home. You don't have to look at him. He could be ugly, he could be cute, whatever. And you have a good time. When you have that mindset, you're just going to have a good time. You don't have that list. You're free, you know? So that was just an example, a crazy example. But I mean, I like going to salsa dance. And I take friends with me sometimes just to teach them a lesson. It's like, you're going to sit here on that stool and mope and wish you could dance salsa, or you're going to get out there and maybe you'll step on somebody's foot, whatever. He might not be handsome or whatever, but you're going to have a good time.
We want to see you having fun. Like, as a dude, I want to see you having fun. You don't have to be, we're not going on Dancing with the Stars. If you came to salsa dance, get your ass up and salsa dance. And I don't get why people don't do that. Like, they literally put shit into the universe. I'm cussing a lot right now. They put stuff into the universe, but they expect something better back, and I don't understand that. Yeah, like exactly, which are tools of incompetence, which are monuments of nothingness. But like it doesn't just add up, and I don't understand why people don't see that or whatever. That said, I didn't see it until I turned 30 and got married, and I'm still working on that, making sure that I'm putting in what I'm taking out of the relationship. But it's definitely a give and take, and it's definitely a tough thing.
Yeah, because I remember, like, when I would be single, it would be like, this is my jam. And then, like, I would go dance on the floor, and the dude would be cute. And then I would look down at his shoes, and if he had, like, K-Swiss on, I would be like, okay, I'm not dancing with him anymore. Especially if it was the K-Swiss with the rock bottom. Remember those?
No.
I would just be like, oh, hell no. But it's like, oh, I just want someone to dance with me. That's it. Like, what is my intention? Like, why am I really out here? So it's just like, enjoy yourself. I guess that goes into number 6, which is you take yourself too seriously.
That's true. It's like, you just have to loosen up. You know, everybody, no one's perfect. Once you get that, then you can go into a room and really have a good time. There's many times I've gone to different venues that I'm the only person I know, you know, and I'm like, okay. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, by the time I leave here, I'm going to know at least 3 people, whatever that is. Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm having the same drink you are. Isn't it good? Or something. Trying to stir a conversation. But, that's also challenging because you don't know what they're going to say, and they might think you're crazy. But once you have a few drinks, believe me, people loosen up. So you can't take yourself seriously.
I feel like it's again, it goes back to getting out of your comfort zone, right? Because these are all connected. It goes to getting out your comfort zone, but realistically assessing what you're out there trying to do. I think people have in their head this playbook on how everything is going to go. And if there's any slight sign of that playbook or an expectation not being met, people are done with it. It's because they put too much pressure on each interaction that you have when you're out. You know, my thing became like towards the end of my glory days was like just focusing on the girls who were actually smiling. If I saw a girl who was that I didn't care about anything, if you're smiling, you know what? I want to be with you and your people. Like, let's get to that. Like, you're smiling. Like, that means you're probably having a good time, no matter how wet the DJ is, no matter how dope the DJ is, no matter what store we're at that time. Like, you're smiling, so let's enjoy that stuff. Like this one, she's not taking the moment, she's not taking this too seriously, but when the time comes, she can get serious about it. You know?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And then you have haters. You know, they're like, "Well, how come she got that dude, and I'm looking all beautiful and stuff and sexy, and why does she have what I want?" You know. Well, maybe it's because her charisma. Maybe, like you said, she's positive. She's got that smile. She's not, she doesn't take herself seriously, She's fun.
Yeah, she's not too judgmental. I think that's what this comes back to. You know, like Joy with the K-Swiss example, which K-Swiss, if you want to sponsor this show, we're absolutely open
I
and
will
amenable
allow
to that.
that.
Let's not get that twisted. I mean, that was how she felt, not necessarily how she feels. But it's one of those things where you start to look for stuff to be wrong, and that means it's like, yo, like you're not enjoying this moment. And I know a lot of the situations we relate back to the club, but even when you go on a date with a girl and you want to talk about a movie and you want to be silly about it, and I'm like, yo, this was the Jamie Foxx movie. What was that one? The Soloist, when he was the crazy, like, yo,
the
why?
cellist.
Yeah, the cello player. Like, yo. Nigga look funny with the way his hair was like styled. Like we should be. Why is nobody talking about that? No, he's not gonna win an Oscar for this. Absolutely not. Like, but no, like I got yelled at because he was homeless, and she thought I was laughing at his homelessness situation. I'm like, no, I'm laughing at that man's hair and the gap that he put in his teeth. Like, no, he was being serious. I was laughing the whole movie, but like, you take yourself too seriously. You think that you have this unique and deep perspective that no one else is worthy of.
Well, I think too is like if you take yourself too seriously, it's different components of it too. Because it's like when I used to date towards, I guess I got my glory days too. Damn it! But I would say toward the end of my glory days, I just was like, you know what? I just am gonna get a free meal, free conversation. Like, I'm going to have a ball. If somebody wants to take me out, like, I'm going to let them take me out.
That's what's happening now.
Yeah, I know. So basically, all I'm saying is it's like, dude, why are you turning down dates? Why are you turning down people trying to meet with you? Like, people are trying to set stuff up, and you're like, well, I have to be to work by 8:46. I mean, dude, live a little. It's like, okay, you might be tired at work tomorrow, but you had a good time out with somebody who's trying to take you out. It's like, you shouldn't be constantly like rescheduling, constantly like trying to do stuff on your time. And then another component to me, especially with people who have been single for a longer time, is they like have a countdown. It's like in their head, they're like, this is the third date. I should bring this up, or this is the 10th date. This should be happening. Like, they have like these like rules, and then they start putting pressure kind of on the experiences too, which is like you taking it too seriously. Just like let it flow, have fun. Like, don't be like, okay, we've been dating for a month. What's my title? It's like, dude, let them say it. If they not saying it to you, they not the person for you. Keep it moving, or just wait.
Or they're still filling out. Like, I look at every dating situation. I wish I would have had this mindset a few years ago, but really each and every time you go on a date, it's like a job interview. You have to take it as that, right? You have the initial process. So what you look like, what you're dressed like, that's your resume, because that's all people have to go by you by. Whether you're full of it, or whether you actually can live up to what you have on paper, or whether you're actually better than what you present on paper, like that's your resume. And then you have your initial screeners with HR, who's just seeing like, all right, this person will probably at least be able to fit into the company culture, and their resume isn't full of lies. Then you finally meet with the hiring manager, who's definitely meeting with multiple people. You're not the only person that person's talking to. So again, if you're in the dating phase, there's nothing wrong with him and or you dating multiple people because you're still filling each other out. Now, once you get to that offer letter stage, you need to start weeding out some of those other people that you're dating, and you have to make a serious decision. And if you feel like you can commit to this job or this relationship, that's what you do. And I think we don't do that enough. We don't take it the same way we do when we're hiring somebody or we're going through that job interview process. We don't present, during those initial interviews, you're presenting your best face each and every time. But even when you get to round 4, 5, and 6, what was a suit has now become, just a shirt with a shirt and maybe a sport coat, which becomes a sweater vest, which by that last one, you probably in polo, a polo and some sneakers, because now you're comfortable to tell them like, yo, I got an important meeting at my job. I'm more than happy to meet you, but I got to come straight from work because I got to go back. And they're like, that's fine. So it's that same process. The more comfortable you get through that job interview process, the more comfortable and open you get with your prospective employer. Same thing when you've met, a young man or a young lady, you just have to go through those steps and those processes. But at some point, like you got to take it seriously. But at some point, you got to be you, and you got to, be able to adapt to what they're looking for. You have to be able to present yourself in that way constantly. And you have to make sure they're presenting the things that you need to hear to move forward. But it can't just be like, well, they didn't check all 10 boxes. Like, yo, they checked 8 of them. Yo, get over yourself. Who do you think you are?
Yeah. And to your point, it's a process and it takes a while. Even when you're working, it's 6 months to a year. And then, Joy, to your point, people need to be a little more lenient because it does take a little longer than they think. They want it to be serious at 2 months and 3 months, but it takes at least a year sometimes, to get to know someone. So it's a while.
Coley clearly must have been doing the interview process when we were dating, because he wouldn't even make me his girlfriend for I shouldn't say make me, but we were not boyfriend. We were talking for 6 months before we were an official boyfriend and girlfriend at that time. So it's like some people I was like, well, he's fun to be around. So, hey, let's stick it out. I had my own boundaries because he was trying to sleep with me at that time. But I refuse. But if you have those boundaries and then you could still hang out with the person, you could have your boundaries, but be like, oh, I'm going to hang out. You never know what it could turn into. And I really like your job analogy, because it's like some people have a shitty job and then some people got a really bad relationship. And this is it's like the analogy with a job. Like, your job sucks. You could do better. Find another job. It's the same with a relationship. This relationship ain't good for you. Find another one. It's just like as simple as that. And just like you could find another job, you could find another person to be with. It's not impossible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think that's a good way to get into number 7. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this one, y'all.
Oh.
So you have unrealistic expectations. You want your partner to come in a nice, neat package. So this is almost 2 wrapped into one. But I think a lot of what we've talked about today have been about unrealistic expectations. So I want to take a little bit of time, y'all, to tell you about Coley's theory on love. And ladies, you guys should listen to this one. Nick, you should take notes on this one over here. So, I mean, in general, and Elizabeth, follow me here. In general, we all would agree that women mature faster than men, right? Yeah. So if you think about it, like at the age of 16, call it, like as a girl, you're more mature. Your hormones aren't raging quite the same way a dude is, because women start, kind of puberty in that process earlier. You grow differently, you grow faster. So you deal with things a little bit differently. And then you tend to attract older guys for whatever reason. In my high school, I felt that every girl in my grade was dating somebody at least 2 years older. So as a guy, though, at 16, you're still awkward. You're now sweating profusely that in places you never sweated before. Your armpit hair is starting to come in full force. Hair in other places are coming in full force. Your voice is still cracking, but it's this weird deepness that you have. Your style really ain't on point. But looking back at some high school pictures, ladies, y'all's weren't on either. Like, what was y'all doing wearing a prom dress with that Denver Broncos coat? Like, that didn't make no sense. But anyway.
It's the only coat you had. Yeah.
But anyway, so we all agree. So for the most part, I feel that women are looking for somebody at their own maturity level. Will we all agree to that? So ultimately, that comes in the form of an older guy. But something happens around the age of 25 where we catch up to each other. So now, this in theory is 3 years past college, or you're well into your vocation in your field. And you as a woman, though, have spent a lot of your formative and your prime years with garbage ass dudes because you was chasing older dudes who was running game on y'all. That is what it is. Agree with me if you want, but then you're lying to yourself. Meanwhile, you as a dude, you figuring yourself out. You're now coordinated. Your acne is gone. Your facial hair ain't spotty no more. So now you got that full beard in. You removed from college, so you starting to get a little bit of money. So you have this weird apex that you have to figure out what to do. So as a dude, like, your options and your world is now opening up even more at 25 because you starting to hit your stride developmentally, professionally, etc. Now, as a woman, you've hit your maturity stride probably by 18, 19, but you spent all them years dissing the dudes that was right there with you. So now that you reach this moment at 25, that dude that you've been dissing since third grade, all of a sudden starting to look better. But guess what? He's looking back now at these 20, 21, 22-year-olds that you missed out on. So, and he's progressively getting better. That's why you see dudes who will be older with these young chicks. Part of it's money, but part of it's because the girls that they liked growing up kind of dissed them. And meanwhile, I feel like a lot of you girls played a lot of dudes when you ultimately played yourself. So now you have these expectations that you're going to actually like end up with the dude that you've been playing your whole life, and it becomes more and more unrealistic. So all this is to say, ladies, you've more than likely come across your soulmate between the age of birth and 25. Not saying it's somebody that you've dated, being in a serious relationship with, but you've probably come across somebody in your first 25 years of life that's worthy of being the man that you need to be with. Fellas, you probably still got more options, and that's why being a single man at the age of 40 isn't as daunting as being a single woman at the age of 40, just because we grow differently, our things are differently. So what's going to end up happening, though, as a dude, you become so vain that you're not looking at, chick, she might have played me, but she's actually not that bad. So when it all comes together, is you guys all have these unrealistic expectations of what you want. You want somebody that's cute like a 20-year-old, but mature and earn money like that 40-year-old. And that's guys and girls. And then at the same time, you want them to come to you perfectly. You don't want them to have no kids. Like, okay, that's not happening.
Past 35, they're probably going to have kids.
Yeah. You want them to have like their job together. You want them to have their own place together, their own car. You also then want them to be able to take you as you are, and you want their whole family life to be different. So to be like on point. The reality is, like, you know what? Y'all both have dealt with some fucked up stuff. Reality is your parents have probably done some stuff to you that have affected you, who you are as an adult. Reality is you probably do have kids, but that's probably made you a better person because, if that I'll get more into that later. But the reality is, like, it's right. I think it's all right in front of you. You're looking for a nice, perfectly wrapped Christmas present underneath the tree. But the reality is what you need and what you want has probably been right in front of you that entire time.
And it might be wrapped in newspaper, something like that.
And nothing wrong with newspaper wrapping or aluminum foil, especially if it's colored comics.
Color comics, yeah.
Yeah, I think that we do want that perfect person and we're unrealistic. But I do have to say that Cougar is coming in. Older women are dating younger men now.
For that check.
As they should.
For that check. For that bag. How else they going to get these Balmain t-shirts? I said it. I mean, that's just...
I don't even have a comment.
No, there's but you know what though? But there's a certain confidence and maturity that I ain't using the word cougar, but that being older brings to you. You've raised kids, people have done stuff like you're gonna have a perspective and a maturity and a confidence, and what you accept is going to be a lot broader now that you're a little bit older, and then you're going to be able to quickly, your red flags are going to go up quicker. Because you're going to see the stuff, but then it's the same stuff that wouldn't have triggered a red flag earlier. Or some things that you say, he's done because he had K-Swiss on. The reality is just buy him another pair of shoes that you like. Like your mindset changes the older you get. So I think that's why that cougar thing is coming in, because there's like a certain respect and dignity that you give younger brothers that these young girls just don't do. There's no more dignity now in dating, and with social media, y'all is ruthless.
And you kind of stop caring, and that's not an age thing. If you get to the point where you don't care what other people think, I feel like that'll free you too to date different people, try new stuff out. But as long as you care so much what other people think, that limits you, period. If you think your mom's not going to be happy because you're dating a dude 5 years younger than you, you're not going to date dudes 5 years younger than you. But why do you care? You're the one who has to be with the person, not your mom.
It's true.
Yeah.
So I think, this idea of a nice, neat package, there's no such thing. You're going to find somebody who's going to check a lot of your boxes, but guess what? They probably have a fucked up family life, and what you learn is once you get married, you literally marry into the family. So if they have parent issues, if it's good, if it's bad, their siblings have something going on, their aunts and uncles, that might be the trade-off you get for this dude who's handsome, who makes a lot of money. But then reality is he has a really messed up background and family thing that he has to deal with, or finance or support. Or, fellas, you might meet a girl who's pretty, who's balanced, who's perfectly balanced, who does all this other stuff, but like she might have kids, and you might have said, I don't want to raise no other man's kids. I don't want no baby daddy drama. But if you fall in love with her, those kids made her who she was today. Like there's no way if you meet a girl, you think she's dope and she has kids, it might be a financial burden you might not want to take on. But if you love her, those kids made her the woman that you love. So like, stick it out with her. Get over it. Don't take yourself too seriously. Keep it moving.
Number 8 is that you're single because you want to be.
Absolutely. I mean, again, some people have been in multiple relationships. Some people are focusing on their career. They might have personal financial goals, money goals, professional goals, or there's a hobby that they picked on. And being a good partner in a relationship might not fit into that agenda. So there's nothing at all wrong with being single.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. That's where I am at right now. It's by choice. And I could be married to number 5 right now.
I believe you.
Yes, actually, I do as well.
But because I do like my freedom, because you have to, once you've been in a relationship a long time, you need time for yourself to heal and to get to know yourself. And then once you get to know yourself, you start liking yourself. And that's the part that people miss. You like yourself and you don't want to get into another relationship for a while because you really want to enjoy yourself.
And people can see that coming through. That's what I go back to earlier when we were talking about seeing somebody that smiles, like that you're going to be attracted to that regardless of looks. Like all of a sudden, like, oh, she's a 6, but like you see a smile, you see somebody enjoying themselves and have that inner confidence, you're going to be attracted to that. Like there's nothing at all wrong with that, as long as you understand that and accept it. And then when you do want to put yourself out there, don't be closed off to it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think this rule is this step is the coolest one, because when you can just reflect and be like, you know what, this is what I want, then when you meet somebody, like you'll be more in touch with what you actually do want. Because when you choose to be single, you're doing something for yourself. Maybe you want to like work on yourself and get better. So that's already kind of more of a positive. You're not afraid anymore. You're like, I want to be single. When the person comes, they'll come. And it's just like, I feel like a lot of people don't realize, like, you watch these reality shows, it's like, dude, okay, he's still sleeping with his baby mama. He's cheating on you. And yes, I do watch reality shows. But at the same time, it's like, you are what you attract. And I just feel like a lot of times dudes kind of get the bad rap, like, oh, they're all cheaters, they're all liars. It's like, no, like, you are with them. You're allowing this behavior because probably you're afraid just to be alone. So it's like, if you could just like reflect on yourself, get better, like, why am I attracting these dudes? Stop blaming the dudes. Like, why is this happening to me? What am I doing? And deal with that. You'll probably meet a pretty good dude.
And it helps you recalibrate your list, right? It helps you, like you were saying, reflect. You can recalibrate those your list, what you want, like what your wish list is, because you have time to sit back and reflect on it. Like there's a reason You charge your phone every night when you come home. It's used all day. It needs to sit down. It needs to rest. It needs to plug in. It needs to charge itself. It's the same thing with your relationship meter. You have to go out there. There's only so much energy you can invest in the process before you need to sit down and recharge. So I think, there's nothing wrong with being single, especially if you want to be. It's best for you, and it's going to allow you to focus on being the best you can be.
Yeah, it's kind of like the job analogy. It's like if you have a pretty crummy job, either you're going to be like, okay, maybe I need to go back to school and get a degree so I can get the job I really want. But for some reason, like with relationships, people don't do that. Like maybe you need to switch it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Number 9, I think this is a good one. You have too many options. Have too many options. Again, I use the job interview analogy whenever I speak about dating, whenever I talk to my single friends, whenever I talk to my married friends. There's a such thing as having too many options. Coming out of college, I unfortunately did not have a lot of job opportunities, but you have a lot of people who have multiple offers and they don't know what to do, so they end up picking the wrong one for the wrong reason, because it's closer to home or it pays the most money, but it's not what you want to do. When you have too many options, you kind of lose. I feel like in dating, you lose track of what you really want, and then you're going for the thing that's going to give you that immediate gratification. And immediate gratification overtakes too often when you're dating. Like, people don't really sit down and give the person a chance that they probably need to. And it ties back to the original one, right? You're going with the wrong one and passing up on the right one just because you have too many options. Like being at a buffet. Like, you can just eat salad, but you're going to get that nasty ass fried chicken from Old Country Buffet. It's there. You have too many options, but you're going to do it knowing you're going to be sick later.
Yeah, you like that fine man that treats you like crap. And then the nice guy that's been calling you and you just ignore, he's going to leave him alone because you're still with this one dude that or any, it's like we're such visual people. We love the exterior. And then we just don't give when we get a chance to see the inner part, we're so deep in, we're like, oh God, but I love him, and I don't want him to be with anybody else. That's another thing, especially women. We don't want, men too. We tend to get into a person and we might not really want them because they're wrong for us, but we don't want nobody else to have them.
Oh, that's deep. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, a lot of people talk about like, I should feel something right away. Like, no, you shouldn't. Like, you gotta work for it. Like, with a job, you gotta work for it. Like, you're not gonna meet somebody and within 2 days, you can like, I didn't feel it. I thought something should be there. It wasn't
that
special
chemistry.
enough.
Yeah.
Like, chemistry takes a while to get there. Again, with the job, like your first day, you're not gonna become a VP. Like, with the relationship, you gotta give it some time. You can't. There's something unspoken about love and what that feels like, but there's something about work and putting that time and that effort in. And I feel, when people, they'll cut something off way too soon just because they know they have another option. But I've been to that thing where every single option has dried up and you're lower than low can go, and you're eating those Swiss rolls watching Rihanna. Or it was Maya back in the day too. And she's still cold. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I digress.
Wake up.
But it's something as like getting your tripping over yourself because you can go someplace else. You got another bed to lie in, or you got another person that'll keep you company, Saturday night if the one on Friday night didn't work. So you gotta focus on what's actually good for you.
That's actually a lonely life.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
And also too, when you like have too many options, it's like it's like let some of those people go. It's like, you don't like this person. And then in the end, you kind of like breaking that person's heart. So now they don't trust any other girl because you playing them. You got like 3 dudes. The one dude you want, he don't want you. But you got these 2 other dudes in the wings that some other girl could have. It goes back to like you want them for yourself. And it's just like, let them go. You have too many options. And then with that chemistry thing, now I sucked at chemistry. But if you think about when you were in chemistry class, it was like steps. It was like a long list of like directions before you could actually get like the chemistry to actually occur, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. So it's like, it's the same kind of with relationships. Like, life is not a movie. It's not a rom-com. It's real life. So like, it's going to take some time and work and energy. It just don't happen like that. So don't be so, it's unrealistic.
I agree. So this brings us to our last one, number 10. And I think this is an important one here. You want what you can't have. Simply put, whatever reason, we want to get people that are either taken, people who have expressly said, yeah, I'm going to go out with you, but I'm seeing somebody else, but you're still pursuing it, thinking that you're going to be able to break through. You want somebody who actually, doesn't meet all the things on your list, but you think you can change them. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. Yeah. Or you want somebody who, they come close enough to fit in your nice, neat little package, but they definitely seeing somebody else, but you're going to play dumb and naive. So you're going to go along for this ride and then be devastated 3 months later when you find out he or she is banging somebody else. Like, you couldn't have them. They weren't meant for you, but you decide to continue down that path.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean I can't have Rick Fox? What?
I can see you guys being a good match, actually.
Rick
Fox, call me, please.
He was with Vanessa Williams,
Woo, it's getting hot in here.
But I would just say, too, like, you want somebody, I'm going to just use my own personal example, but you want somebody you can't have. When I used to date, it would be dudes that would literally like ghost me. They would just like not call. Like, I remember I dated this one dude. I really liked him, and dude disappeared for like 2 weeks, or maybe it was a month. I don't know. And then I just kept calling him, kept texting, like, hey, where are you? What happened? I mean, if somebody's into you, they're going to call unless it's something serious. And then you just keep pursuing it, wasting time and energy on this person that's not putting the same energy into you. It's like you want what you can't have, or like you want unavailable people. Like, I feel like a lot of times people want unavailable people. Like, oh, they're married. Okay, I'm going to still go with them anyway. Or, oh, like they only make time for me on Tuesdays. It's like they're unavailable. Like, find somebody who's available, or like they just got out of a divorce, or they just got out of a bad relationship. You're a rebound. Like, they're unavailable. Like,
and then now with all this technology and texting and stuff, people can do multiple things. They could be sitting having dinner with someone and they're texting you, hey baby, and whatever, and you're like, why can't he call me? Well, he's too busy over there, right, with his wife and kids, or doing something else, or on vacation, and he's like, well, I'm busy, I'm on a conference, whatever. Yeah, okay. And he's on Facebook and he's on a beach somewhere.
Sounds very specific.
I hate people that text all the time. That is a red flag for me.
Yeah.
When you can get a call from them maybe every week, once a week, or every 2 weeks, and then there's constantly texting you every day. There's a life going on, so that's a big red flag.
Absolutely. And I think that's an important thing that you got to say again, like, pick up the phone, talk to the person. Like, you should want to hear their voice. They should want to hear your voice. Like, if you had a great day, I don't want to tell you, oh my God, I nailed that presentation. I want you to hear my voice and hear that excitement. I want to hear your voice. Joy and I, we were long distance, during those 6 months when I was choosing. And
choosing shit, so was I.
Yeah. But it was dope. Like, we would be on the phone an hour and a half to 2 hours every night. Most of it was after 9 because I only had 400 anytime minutes or whatever. So we had to wait. Like, hold on, you call at 8:30, and then eventually I switched my carrier to AT&T. Like, oh, we could talk whenever, but before it'd be like, yo, I'm gonna hang up the phone because it's 8:59. I'm gonna call you back in 2 minutes, and then we be on the nighttime. But like, those conversations, we actually talked more. We learned more about each other. And people, I don't know why they're fine with the texting, and maybe because everybody's trying to juggle multiple things. But like, if you can't, time is the most important thing that anybody has. That's the one thing you have that you can never get back. You can lose $1 billion, but you can make $1 billion again. We can't get time back. And if somebody's not willing to make that invest that in you, then you got nothing. So I think
That's true.
yeah. So I think that we need to wrap this up. Is there any final thoughts on reasons why people are single before we get into things we wish we would have known?
Reevaluate your list of what you want from a mate. Make sure it's realistic. Make sure that you meet those things. And then lastly, what I always told myself when I was single, I read a lot of books to help. I read Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady. I read like He's Not Into You. Like I read books and I was willing to face myself. But the main thing is also I had a positive perspective. And I'm a Christian. So I said, if God can make the mountains, he can make the sea, he can make the ocean, he can create a human being. There's no reason he can't create somebody for me. So, and I always, even when I would break up, I always say, God made the mountains. He can make somebody for me. So if you're looking at your outlook and it's a negative outlook, like there's nobody for me, there's no good men out here. It's like reevaluate. Are you always speaking negative? Like all the black dudes are with white girls. I mean, if all you're bringing in is negativity, you're not going to get anything back. So keep it positive. If God could make the world and the universe, he can make a mate for you. That's nothing. You just have to believe and put in the work.
I think my big thing is just don't worry about what others think about your relationship. I think too often we want that external, we want that look, we want to say, yeah, she cold, plus she worked, she do this, plus she do this. Like, don't worry about that stuff. If you genuinely like spending time with that person, they make you happy, like everybody else will come around. And believe it or not, once you guys start dating, all of a sudden that girl, all your friends used to dog, once you start dating them, you make it through that initial phase, like they're going to start to look at that person in a different way and vice versa. Like I've had girls who've played on me because they don't think I was popular enough. Now look at me. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like that is what it is. But like, don't worry about what others are going to think about your relationship. Don't worry about social media and how good you guys are going to look on your Instagram pic or how you guys are going to look like when you're on the Odyssey at Navy Pier. Just find somebody that makes you happy, and the rest will come in place. If you're worried about other people, they will come around. So find who you love and just be with them. Don't worry about the other shit.
Mm-hmm. I agree. For me, is fix yourself first before you put yourself out there and try to fix others. You need to just loosen up, enjoy life. You're gonna, like you said, positive. You're gonna attract someone when you're positive and you're enjoying life. And like you said, Joy, there's always someone for you. So just don't think that the first thing that comes around is the perfect thing. And no one's perfect, but keep an open mind.
No better way to end this top 10 reasons you're singles. But before we wrap up the show, last we want to do things we wish we would have known. I'll kick this one off for y'all. Things I wish I would have known. I wish I would have knew more about like just health and what healthy food looked like and what being healthy meant. Like, being overweight it's not only just about the looks, it's about like the effects it have on your health. I wish I would have known more about, just because something's juice doesn't mean it's good for you. It has sugar in it and all that jacks you up. So as I get older, I'm fighting, high blood pressure. I'm on medicine. I got it under control, but I'm seeing a doctor 4 times a year just to kind of just maintain a level of health for my, my wife and now, my son Chance and, our new baby who's going to bless us. Wish I would have known more about eating healthy, doing right, making that, spending more money on better foods now versus more money on medicines and doctors later. Like, take care of yourself, especially us as Black folks, it's in our genes. A lot of the foods are out here. They're designed to literally kill us. They, things that allowed us to survive, our ancestors survived that great journey, are the things that are in food that are killing us now. So learn about food, educate what you're putting in your body. You just don't put anything in your car. Don't just put anything in your body. Wish I would have known that when I was younger.
Yeah. When I was a kid, my mom took me to Sam's Club and she like literally let us eat those huge Sam's Club muffins. And I thought that was a healthy breakfast. So.
Oh, okay.
Whole grain.
Whole grain. Or just like, if you look at advertisements from when we were kids, it would be like cereal, orange juice, and then I think an apple. So it's just like not healthy. And that's what they're marketing to kids.
Yeah.
something I wish I would have known is I read on Pinterest one of those like little aspiration things, and it was just like being mean, because I looked up how to work with mean people, how to deal with like mean people, because I was upset. And then I saw this quote, and it was just like, a mean person, the worst thing to do is to be mean to somebody who's already mean, which is what I was doing. And it was just like, you know, when you're mean to somebody, and you say, oh, I'm going to give you a taste of your own medicine. I'm going to do it right back so you know how it feels. But actually, a mean person is used to people being mean to them. They're used to being treated in a bad way. So really, you're not giving them a taste of their own medicine because that's what they're used to. That's probably why they're mean. And they just ignore it. It's like water off their back. But if you're nice to them, that kind of like changes the dialogue. Because I always remember the, you know, kill them with kindness. But I never really understood it till I read that. Because it's like, I can't be kind to this person. They're a complete and total jerk. But really, it's more just like being nice to them, show us something they've never seen. And then hopefully if they're behaving mean and badly, at least you're not also like being mean and behaving badly. So you already are doing better for your own self.
That's like forgiveness.
Yeah, it's forgiveness. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, what I wish I would have known was sending off my kids to college. They come back and they don't want to leave. You know,
we could have told you that. I came back.
They don't want to leave. They still eating my food. They're still using my electricity, my water, and they go out when they want to now because, you know, they're adults now. So they don't have to ask permission. So they have a nice, you know, bed and roof over their heads. So I wish I would have known that.
Well put.
Well, sounds about right.
Well put. Well, Elizabeth, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely drop some gems on us, and I hope you guys listening took away the same things. Again, subscribe to our YouTube page, and this is the Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast.
Yep.